Hello and welcome to my channel. I don't always start off every week baking bread, but it does seem like it's been the norm lately. And I am just doing some sourdough bread, and I've just recently shared how I've started my journey. It starts off with a starter. You can kind of see it there. I actually started these 2 loaves last night. I'm kind of coming into my own with the sourdough, getting my own little routine, and I do feel like that's something that you have to do. I am barehanding it with a razor because I do not know how to change the blade out of my little tool here. So that one was very dull. And I'm just realizing now how flimsy these are. And that is probably why I never get a good cut. So I'm going to be looking into getting a new, I think they're called a lame, not sure how you pronounce that. But I'm just getting some slits in my bread here. My oven and my Dutch oven are preheating to 475. And then once it's ready, I'm just gonna plop this whole thing right on the bread sling into the pan, and we will have some good homemade sourdough for dinner tonight. So there, I think that's gonna be lovely. And for the actual meat and potatoes of the dinner, or the meat and pasta, I'm doing drunken noodles today. It's just something that the family requests now. It's one of those favorites that's now on our repeat menu. So I've got a half a pound of Italian sausage right here on top, and then a couple pounds of ground beef on the bottom. This recipe has taken place of our normal spaghetti night. Don't get me wrong though, sometimes you just have to have a typical spaghetti dinner like the Prego or Ragu or whatever your favorite jarred sauce is, but we have been really liking this in place of that as an alternative. And then today I also decided that I want to prep all of the veggies that I have. So like I have a whole package of celery in here, but I use it very, very sparingly. So I'm going to wash it up and chop it up, possibly put it in the dehydrator, if nothing else, store it. There's all the rest of them, but store it in a freezer bag in the freezer. I don't know, but some of this stuff we're planning to have this week, like the squash. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash it, get it sliced, so that when I come home from work, I can just prepare them instead of go through the whole process of chopping it all up. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna slip this bread right into my very hot Dutch oven. Get the lid on. I just recently learned that you can make jam in your bread machine, and I am really interested in that. So today I am just going to do some strawberry jam. I have 3 cups of strawberries that I removed the stems. And I'm just going to dump them right inside. And then I have this tool. All right. And then you need sugar, and I'm going to use real sugar today. I know sometimes I substitute, but you do 3/4 of a cup. And we're going for the real deal. And I'm just doing a small batch that I will put right in the refrigerator and use right away. Next, you want a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then 3 tablespoons of pectin. And this is what I'm using. We're going to close it. On my bread machine, the setting is 11 which it says 1 hour, 20 minutes. We're just going to push start, and it's going to heat up first, and then it's going to do all the mixing. I'm going to walk away. I've got my jar clean and ready, and here soon I'll be sharing how our jam turned out. All right, the jam is jamming. It's got about 44 more minutes. I have been busy slicing and dicing up the veggies that I had in my sink. I've got one loaf out. I had to sample the very edge because it smelled so good. I've got another one in the oven. Some water boiling for the noodles. The meat is all browned up, and we need to get busy. And by we, I mean me. The bread that's in the oven, the timer is about to go off in 1 minute, and then I will need to take the lid off for 20 minutes. I'm getting ready to add a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies to this. Not going to drain the liquid. We need some liquid in this. I have very little beef bouillon, so I'm going to mix it up and use beef and chicken. If you've watched me make dinner before, you know I'm not afraid just to kind of mix it up and wing it. And I don't have much chicken bouillon or much beef, and that's fine with me because I like to use things up until I purchase more. And it's absolutely not going to make a difference. Actually, I think you're supposed to use chicken broth anyway, or white wine. Bill prefers beef, so I usually try to go for the beef broth. Gonna do a little sprinkling of crushed red pepper flakes. I am just a little bit terrified of the crushed red pepper flakes. We were eating pizza last week, and I was putting some crushed red pepper on my slice of pizza, and a flake flew up into my eye and got deeply embedded. It was one of the most painful experiences that I've ever had. Oh, so I am way more careful with those little suckers now. We need to get some garlic in there. I am just going to use some of the stuff out of the jar. I'm going to sprinkle in just a little bit of brown sugar. I love a little bit of tomato paste just for color. I love tomatoes and anything tomato flavored. So I'm going to sneak that in there. All right, I'm just going to let this all cook together, and then we'll just add our noodles at the end, and that's it. And I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese, so either we do it now or we just do it to our own dish. And since we all like it cheesed up, I'm just going to do it now. And it's going to kind of thicken up the sauce as well. Well, I don't think that I could have planned this and had it turn out this way, but dinner is done. At the same time that the second loaf of bread was ready to come out of the oven, I think it turned out beautifully. I have just finished getting the last of my produce chopped up. Just got to get the lids on them. And I've got 7 minutes until the jam is ready. And that'll give me time to look and see if I can find a funnel. I highly doubt it. I'm impatient. I want to take a look. Oh, look at that. Well, I'll get my lid ready. Like I said, we're just going to keep this in the fridge and use it right now. If I was canning it, I would obviously use the metal ring and lids. But I may have to tiny ladle it if I can't find my funnel. That's about how much jam we got. I'm going to let that sit and cool. Oh, good morning. This morning I am out in the yard All the babies are over here getting some water, just lined up, so cute. I have one escapee, and I have a whole bag full of goodies. So all of my kitchen scraps, these are just like the greens from the radishes. Not sure if they can eat radishes, but usually I will Google what they can eat and then give it to them, but usually they are pretty good about staying away from stuff that is toxic or that they don't like. And we have plenty of other squirrels and animals that will come and help out if there's anything the chickens won't touch. So right now, the two flocks don't really integrate, so I'm going to spread it out. For dinner today, I just really don't feel much like cooking, so I have some chicken patties here on a rack on a cooking sheet that I'm going to throw in the oven real quick and just let them get crispy. I'm also frying up some bacon. We're just going to whip up some really quick salads today. We went out to eat for Bill's birthday on Wednesday, and since it was Sawyer's birthday as well, he got to wear a goofy hat just like Papa. Dinner today is as easy as 1, 2, and 3. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Bill is away this week at a pool tournament competing. And so some days have just been dinner for one, depending on whether Cam is doing something. Like today, I am just going to make a quick breakfast scramble. I've got a couple pieces of Swaggerty sausage. I'm cooking up some frozen spinach. I'll crack a couple eggs in here. I'll remove the sausage, of course, but I will crack a couple of eggs and then scramble them together with a little cheese. And that'll just be a really quick dinner for me. It's one of my favorites. I feel like I get a lot of good nutrition out of it with the protein and the eggs. Leafy vegetable. I have my window open today. It has been really nice and warm out, but we had a little bit of a thunderstorm happening. I do have a little spot of paint on my thumb. My hands are clean, but I was outdoors painting the door to the chicken coop. Got some really fresh eggs, and we like to joke around and yell out the window, "Thank you, girls," whenever we are making eggs. You see that eggshell went right in there, but I got it. So I'm just going to mix that egg in. But my first meal of the day is usually pretty late, like around noon. And even though it's later, I still like to have breakfast food. And I feel like this gives me a lot of energy. As you can see looking down in there, I have a very small amount of sharp left in this bag. I want to use it up. So that's what I'm going to use today. And there you have it. Just a really simple and easy. And this one is so fast. Super fast. Dinner for one tonight. Next, it was time for Sawyer's actual birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. Everyone had a blast, and 6 of the grandkids came home to spend the night at Grandma's house. So here is a behind-the-scenes look at when grandkids come over to Grandma's house. It is an absolute mess. We're doing breakfast. They are watching one of Grandma's videos. Swing of things and accepting. What are we having for breakfast today, Ava?
Eggs and sausage.
Eggs and sausage. have sprinkled some cheese on my taco meat here, a couple of tortillas, and all I'm gonna do is add a little bit of lettuce. Let's get this one too. And I am just going to add a whole lot of creamy chipotle. This is just the Taco Bell brand. Cam and I don't really like a whole lot of toppings. It's very easy and quick. I don't know if I ever circled back around to show how that homemade jam turned out, but I'm really craving something sweet and delicious. So I have a couple pieces of sourdough that I just got out of the toaster. And we still have a little bit of this jam. It's gonna be perfect on this homemade bread. Tomorrow is Easter, and for our Easter potluck, I am making baked beans. So I'm getting some hamburger meat started in my Ninja Professional on the saute mode. I love this thing because I can do a whole dish like this right in the same pot. Next, I'm going to add some garlic. And I'm going to add some bacon pieces, the real bacon pieces, not the bacon bits. And let those cook right along with the hamburger and onions and garlic so that they can reconstitute. And while that's cooking, I'm just going to start opening up my cans of baked beans. Now that the meat is browned all the way through, I'm just going to start adding my beans. And I just went with the Great Value brand because with baked beans, you doctor them up so much that you really don't have to go all out with the name brand expensive kind. All right, I'm doing three large cans of beans. After having 6 grandkids over yesterday and then getting them all taken care of and dropped off today, then cleaning the house, I am pretty whooped. So we had a lot of fun though. Here I am trying to get some stuff around for Easter dinner. I'm going to add ketchup, add vinegar or mustard. Mustard has vinegar in it, but I'm going with the mustard. I usually do. And now we're going to come in with what I think is the best ingredient in baked beans. That's the brown sugar. So we're going to mix that around. Then I'm just going to turn this cooker down on slow cook and let them go. Let's bake a cake. Okay, so I am using a Betty Crocker yellow cake mix, and I've got it in my stand mixer bowl. I'm going to push it aside for a minute. I need 1 cup of coffee. Yeah, I need a cup of coffee. Anyway, I need 1 cup of water for this recipe, and I'm using some pineapple rings. And sometimes when a recipe calls for water and I'm using fruit, I will just use some of the juice in place of the water. So I'm going to finish filling this up to the 1 cup mark. But it was pretty close. Okay, we're just going to pour that right in there. Okay, now I'm going to take a long knife and I'm just going to put it right into the center of these pineapples on each side and cut them in half. We'll put that aside. We're going to do 3 eggs for this cake batter. 2 and 3. Then 1/3 of a cup of oil. So I'm gonna run off with this bowl and get it mixed up real quick in my stand mixer. Okay, this cake batter looks a little runny to me, but we're gonna trust the process. I did follow the box instructions exactly. Now, even though this bundt pan has never done me wrong in the past. I went ahead and buttered it. It's been a couple of years since I have used it. I am just sprinkling some brown sugar all over the bottom. And I have made this on my channel before. And I will try to remember to link that video. It's an older one. But as you can see, my bundt pan has little grooves. I don't know if they all do, but this one does. So I'm just taking a piece of pineapple that I've cut in half and sliding it right into that groove. And today they are doing really good and standing right up. I know I've made this before and they didn't. It looks like I put that one in the middle of the grooves. Okay. I'll just move it. One more. So next we're going to take a cherry, go on each side. Right in the middle. And on the back of the box it says for a bundt cake it's going to be about 36 to 41 minutes, and I have it on 350, I believe. Yep, 350. So in it goes. I decided that it just wouldn't be Easter without carrot cake, so I once again am using another box mix. But for some of the add-ins that I'm using, I'm gonna melt down a half a stick of butter. To this butter, I'm going to add a half of a cup of shredded carrots. You don't have to do this part when you're making carrot cake, and you don't really, if you're using a box mix, you don't have to add extra carrots either, but I like to. I really like to just kind of play around with box mixes and add to. And also, I don't like a crunchy carrot at all, so if you're me, I have to do this part. I just added a little less than a half of a cup of chopped pecans. Just very roughly chopped. And just because why not, I'm going to sprinkle in about a quarter of a cup of brown sugar. And like I said, this is going right into the actual cake mixture, which already has sugar and stuff in it, but we're being a little extra here. Yes, for this cake mix, I am pretty much doing the same thing, except I'm using a spice cake mix this time, but it's the same concept. The 3 eggs, the 1/3 cup of oil, and 2 cups of water. So we're going to add our water now. I want to mix my eggs in here first because my carrot and butter and pecan mixture is really hot. I did turn it off, but still warm enough to scramble these eggs, and we don't want that. There we go. All right, here we go. I have my pan prepared. We're just going to do like a rectangular pan for this cake, and I don't have the stuff to make cream cheese frosting, and usually what I do is buy a little tub of it, but I forgot. And I know one of my kids who really likes carrot cake is going to say, "Mom, where's the cream cheese frosting?" But hopefully this will be so good that he won't even be thinking about it. So I skipped the part on the box mix that called for the oil because I have all of that butter. Can't talk. And I'm out of breath. I'm always out of breath. I just can't breathe. My allergies are horrendous. It's just not stopping. But that is spring for me. Every year, the same thing. And I was feeling a little bit guilty about making these 2 cakes for Easter dinner because these are not typically the kind of cakes that my grandkids like. They're pretty, I call them grown-up cakes. But then I remembered that it's Easter and they have such an abundance of candy and treats that I shouldn't feel sorry. They're going to be on sugar overload. So we're going to get this one in the oven as soon as the other one is ready to come out, which is going to be just a couple of minutes. We've got 1 cake that is done, and I have it on a wire rack here so that it can cool completely before I attempt to flip it over. In my other video, if you watch it, you will see that I did not do that, and then all of those pretty layers of pineapple and cherry tried to fall apart on me. So we're definitely going to let this cool all the way. Even though I have no patience, I'm going to do it this time. I did find a recipe on Pinterest for a cream cheese glaze, and it just calls for a half of a block of cream cheese, which I have, a half a stick of butter, which I have left over from the cake, some vanilla. I have a very small amount of the McCormick vanilla, and as you know, my vanilla is not ready yet, and then a cup of powdered sugar. So basically we're just going to melt all of this together, add the powdered sugar, and just stir it up real good and put it right on top. Okay, I am back. It is several hours later. I just popped this bowl with the butter and the cream cheese into the microwave. It's later and it's dark, so I apologize for the lighting, but it is what it is. I am tired. It seems like holidays always seem to turn into like late night shenanigans. So I'm just adding my powdered sugar into the butter and cream cheese and vanilla. I'm just going to work on getting this all creamed together, and then I'm going to smear it on top of the cake. Well, now it's time to see if the cake is going to come out of the pan. And when it does, if it does, well, it's coming out one way or the other. But is it coming out in pieces? Oh, goodness. I'm gonna say that the cakes were full. I did end up adding some sprinkles to the carrot cake, and that glaze is divine. Let's get the lid on that one. The good old Tupperware cake carrier. All right, that is it for this week. I have 2 cakes, baked beans, and potato salad to take tomorrow. I hope you have a happy Easter if you celebrate it, and we will see you in my next video. Bye.